They say even the desert has its own laws, and out in the dry heart of Arizona, there was one rule you wouldn't find written down, only in sweat, dust, and broken bones. Beyond the walls of Federal Penitentiary C-21, there stood a makeshift arena, just a scorched patch of earth ringed with barbed wire where local bosses staged underground fights under the blistering sun. But these weren't fights. They were public executions. That day, under a blazing blue sky, a military convoy rolled up to the camp. Steel doors slammed open with a harsh clang. Prisoners were dragged out in chains, herded like cattle to the slaughter. Some were thrown into the stands. Others were chosen. One of them was just a kid, skinny, clothes torn, face bruised. They shoved him into the center of the pit with nothing but contempt, a sack of bones dumped onto the hot sand. Nobody asked his name. Nobody cared where he came from. To that crowd of cartel bosses, crooked soldiers and filthy gamblers, he wasn't a person, just another number, another body. But something was off. Even with chains biting into his wrists, the kid didn't look scared. His eyes, sharp, narrow, calculating, scanned every inch of the arena like he was counting down seconds. His breathing steady, shoulders squared, chin up. The scrape of his chains dragging in the sand echoed like dry metal on stone. The crowd laughed, drank, placed bets. 10 seconds, 15, not a soul wagered on him. The first challenger stepped forward. Shaved head, massive frame, a scar slashed across his face and a dull machete in his fist. He walked slow, cocky. This wasn't his first kill. The kid tried to back up, stumbled, dropped to his knees. It looked like the end. But then, everything shifted. A man broke through the line of guards and stepped into the arena, lean, dressed in plain clothes, hair tied back in a low knot, barefoot. He walked without hurry, but every step made the brutes flinch. He still wore the red wristband of the inmates. He'd come off the same convoy, sat in the stands just minutes earlier, and now he was in the center. "This isn't a fight," he said, voice calm. "It's an execution." Silence. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody dared move. One thug lunged at him from behind. Fatal mistake. With a single sharp twist of his arm, the stranger slammed the man into the dirt with bone-crushing precision. The sound silenced the bets. The kid, still on his knees, stared wide-eyed. For the first time, someone had stepped in for him. The man, now everyone understood he was no ordinary prisoner, but a master, didn't stop. He grabbed the boy's chains, spun them, whipped them around the legs of the second attacker. Crash, scream, dust in the air. The third hesitated, too late. He went down with a brutal kick straight to the gut. The fourth thug dropped his weapon. He ran. The crowd stopped laughing. Up in the makeshift box, a man in a white suit lit a cigar with a look of pure contempt. He owned the show, and he didn't like what he was seeing. The master had broken the rule. He'd broken the ritual. In that arena, rules cost dearly. But there, under the desert sun, the kid saw something he'd never seen before. Control, technique, respect. The master knelt before him. With a hidden hook in his sleeve, he unlocked the chains with a dry click. He looked the boy in the eye and said, "You're not ready yet, but I can train you." The boy didn't answer. He only nodded. In that instant, without fully understanding why, he knew one life had ended right there, and another, entirely different, was just beginning. That day, 3 rumors were born inside the penitentiary. 1, that an unknown boy had survived a certain death. 2, that a kung fu master had appeared out of nowhere. 3, and that a man like that only shows up when someone is meant to change everything. That's how the first name came to be. Elian the Silence. Federal Penitentiary C-21 didn't officially exist, at least not on maps or public reports. To the government, it was an experimental rehabilitation center tucked away on the dry plains of Arizona, ringed by barren mountains and forgotten desert. But those who went in knew the truth. C-21 was a field of domination. There was no rehab. There were hierarchies, silences, and rules carved with knives. Elian had been transferred there 2 months earlier. His file read aggravated assault and attempted homicide. He never talked about it. He didn't need to. His eyes carried the weight of someone who had killed, or nearly had. He stayed in Block C with those who didn't belong to any particular gang, ignored by some, bullied by others. He slept little, always facing the wall, a makeshift blade hidden under the thin mattress. Since the night in the arena, something had shifted, not just the way the other inmates watched him now, a mix of respect and fear, not just how the guards seemed edgier, like they feared a second, quieter uprising could spark. It was the master. No one knew his real name. The Latinos called him Viejo, the black men called him Sensei. The Russians only whispered Phantom. But to Elian, he was Kai. That's what he answered when, days later in the inner yard, the boy finally dared to ask. Kai was always alone. He washed his own clothes. He ate slowly. He didn't speak unless it mattered. In his free moments he'd sit cross-legged, eyes closed, as if the prison didn't touch him. They began training at dawn between the watchtowers. A blind corner of the east wing, shaded, where the cameras were always out. It's not about strength, Kai would say as Elian fell for the 5th time. It's about intent, knowing the exact moment to move. The motions were slow, almost poetic. Kai taught with his body, not with lectures. And Elian, who had trusted no one, found himself copying each movement with a hunger he didn't know he had. But Kai watched too. He saw something in Elian beyond anger and pain. "What did you lose?" he asked once at the end of a session. Elian hesitated. He couldn't explain. Or he wouldn't. He only murmured, "Everything." Kai didn't press. Over time, others noticed. The scrawny kid who could barely stand was now slipping away from punches like water. He's different. That kid's with the ghost now. This is gonna end badly. Among the bosses, the murmur grew, especially among those who profited from the illegal fights. A kid like Elian, trained by someone like Kai, was a threat to the whole operation. A glitch in the matrix. That's when Delgado appeared, a corrupt ex-cop who ran the trade inside the penitentiary. He controlled the fights, the bets, and the silence of the guards. Delgado saw everything, and he began to plan. "This old man needs to disappear," he told a guard, and the kid with him. Meanwhile, Kai kept training Elian with a patience that had no hurry, no ambition, just discipline. "You don't need to win, you just need to stay standing," he'd say. In his cell, Elian started having strange dreams, deep waters, a past trying to sink only to rise again. And though he didn't say it aloud, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Direction. He didn't yet know his days of anonymity were numbered. The next fight wouldn't be just for survival. It would be for the right to exist. The training with Kai went on. At first, Elian thought he was learning to defend himself, strikes, falls, balance. But he soon realized Kai wasn't training him to fight. He was training him to control. Anger is fire. It burns others, but first it burns you inside. Kai corrected his stance. "Do you want revenge or freedom?" It was a question Elian couldn't answer. That week, the prison's rhythm changed. Heavier armed guards, rougher checks. Elian noticed they were being watched, constantly, and he was right. Delgado had already spoken with the warden. "We need to make people remember who's in charge here." And for that, he needed a new spectacle in the arena, something unforgettable, something symbolic. "We'll put the old man up against his own disciple," he suggested with a sideways smile. The warden, a man already sold to the system, simply nodded. The plan was in motion. In Block C, Elian was called in for a medical review. He knew what that meant. Isolation, interrogation, intimidation. When he refused, 2 guards forced their way into his cell. Kai appeared at the door, silent. "Don't react," he said. "Not now, not yet." Elian obeyed. He was led to the containment block where Delgado waited. alone, without uniform, sleeves rolled up, eyes cold. "You've got talent, kid," Delgado said, lighting a cigarette, "but you're backing the wrong horse. That old man's already dead inside." Elian stayed quiet. Delgado stepped closer. "You're going to fight him in the next arena, him versus you. Live, for everyone. It'll be a show." "I won't," Elian said, flat. Delgado laughed. "You will. Or your file disappears, and you become just another body in the desert." When he returned to the cell, Elian was silent. Kai sat waiting, eyes closed. "They want us to tear each other apart," the boy murmured. Kai didn't answer. He handed him water and picked up the training again. "They only win if you believe you have no choice." Meanwhile, rumors ran through the corridors. The fight between master and apprentice was already being billed as the event. The promise of fresh blood had the bosses licking their chops and betting big. Some inmates came to Elian with offers, advice, threats. Every word felt like a hook. Kai, for his part, grew quieter. He seemed at peace, or resigned. The night before the fight, Elian didn't sleep. He replayed the training, the strikes, the silences. The memory of the past still haunted him. His older brother murdered before his eyes. The knife he picked up, the blood, the trial, the sentence. But in that cell now, something had shifted. He no longer saw himself as a victim. He saw himself as someone being built. The Arizona sun rose mercilessly as the prison gates opened. Inmates, guards, and bosses gathered around the arena. Kai went in first. Barefoot, no shackles. Thin, but steady. Serene eyes. Elian came right behind, light chains at his wrists, sweat running down his temples. Delgado grinned from a padded chair. Beside him, a screen showed the bets. Kai was the favorite to win. Irony, even he didn't want to be there. The crowd shouted, but in the center of the pit, silence. "Are you going to fight me?" Elian asked, staring at the master. "No," Kai said, "but I'll test what you've learned." Then he moved. The first exchanges were light, contained strikes, calculated stops. Elian slipped, stepped back, tried to keep his balance. Kai moved like wind, fast. To the onlookers, the fight looked real. Between the two, something else was happening, a wordless conversation. Kai was testing his mind, not his body. With a quick turn, he knocked Elian into the sand. The boy spat blood. He wanted to lash out, to explode. But then he remembered, anger is fire. He breathed. He rose. He planted his feet. But silence is steel. Instead of attacking, he simply met the master's gaze, a small, steady gesture. Kai smiled. "Now you're ready." Delgado jumped to his feet, furious. "What the hell is this? Fight!" he barked. But nobody fought anymore. The crowd murmured, confused. Then everything collapsed. From the stands, a group of prisoners tore through a makeshift barricade. They were Kai's allies. The quiet rebellion he'd been building exploded right there. Delgado tried to run, but it was too late. Chaos swallowed the arena. In the eye of that storm, Kai and Elian only looked at each other. The first real blow had yet to come. The arena chaos wasn't the end, it was the beginning. As sirens wailed and guards sprinted to restore order, Kai and Elian slipped away through abandoned corridors and maintenance ducts. It had all been part of a larger plan Kai had been crafting for months. Allies were planted in every block, men trained in silence like Elian. Some owed their lives to the master, others just wanted a dignified exit from that hell. Along the way, they met Marquez, an ex-detective jailed unjustly for defying a superior. He was one of the few who knew Kai's past. "Did you know this old man used to be an agent in a government special unit?" Marquez whispered while unlocking an access door. "He disappeared after a mission in Asia. They said he was dead." Elian glanced at Kai, surprised. The master didn't deny it. He simply walked on. Meanwhile, Delgado hid out in the administrative sector, flanked by 2 loyal guards. From the command tower, he watched the prison convulse. "Cut power! Lock the cells! Kill whoever you have to!" he ordered. But the systems were being hacked from inside. The rebellion's hacker was a woman named Reese, locked up for cybercrimes against banks and military contractors. She'd intercepted the surveillance servers and opened whole sectors with improvised code. "We've got 30 minutes until reinforcement from the city arrives," she warned over radio. "After that, we're surrounded." The uprising had a clock. It had to end fast or be crushed. Kai gathered the revolt's key leaders in an abandoned mess hall and revealed the real plan. This wasn't just about escape, it was about exposing the prison, the clandestine arena, the abuses, the executions carried out under state orders. "If we just run, they'll hunt us like rats, but if we show the world what's going on, we become evidence, and they become the crime." Marquez nodded. "We have a shot. There's a local server that stores footage of the arena fights. If we get it and broadcast it, their game is over." But the server sat inside Delgado's office. Time, obstacles, and blood stood between the rebels and true freedom. Elian, steadier now, became the link between the prisoners. He wasn't the ignored kid anymore. He was the silence, the master's apprentice. Yet even with newfound respect, doubts and divisions cropped up. Rojas, one of the oldest inmates, questioned Kai's leadership. "This is suicide. You two will lead us straight to slaughter." Kai listened without force. He didn't command. He offered, "You don't have to join, but if you stay, fight with honor." Rojas hesitated and stayed. As they prepared to storm the admin sector, Elian finally asked, "Why did you choose me?" Kai took his time. Then he said, eyes on the metal sky above, "Because you haven't yet decided what you'll become. That's rare in this place." Elian didn't answer. For the first time he understood. He wasn't a soldier, he was a witness being shaped into something bigger. The plan kicked off at 3:47 a.m. Reese opened the security doors. Marquez guided the team to the restricted block. Kai and Elian led the front line. The fights that followed were not clean or graceful. They were brutal. Blood, broken bones, screams. A direct clash with Delgado's loyal guards defending the server room as their last bastion. Rojas, once the skeptic, saved Reese from an ambush. He was wounded, yet he didn't fall. In the end, they reached the terminal. Reese hooked up the cables and launched the transmission. Footage of the arena, the executions, prisoners in chains, everything went out live, flooding social media and local news stations. From his office, Delgado screamed in panic, "Shut it down, kill the feed." Too late. The world knew now. Maximum alert blared. Helicopters were on their way. Dogs, gunfire. But in the heart of the chaos was something no military force could contain. The truth laid bare. And in the middle of the explosions and screams, Kai looked at Elian and said, "Now, it's you who decides how this ends." The chaos at C-21 didn't stop. Military choppers roared overhead, spotlights slicing through broken towers and the desert beyond. The broadcast had escaped their grip. It was everywhere, on TVs, on phones, across the net. The truth had detonated like a bomb. But victory came with a price, and that debt hadn't been collected yet. Elian and Kai huddled in the maintenance tunnels of Block D with Reese, Marquez, and a handful of survivors. Exhausted, bleeding, and running out of minutes before the military closed every exit. "We have to move now," Reese said, scanning the satellite tracker. "There's a gap on the south side. If we cut through, we can escape into the abandoned mines." But Kai didn't move. Elian watched him silently. Something was wrong. The master looked different, his eyes, once centered, now distant. "What is it?" Elian asked, stepping closer. Kai looked back, hesitant for the first time. "I'm not leaving." The silence hit heavier than concrete. "What?" Marquez snapped. "You led this. You're the face of this rebellion." Kai lowered his head. "Exactly. They need someone to crucify, someone to point at. If I stay, you have a better chance to get out, to actually live beyond this place." Elian stepped forward. "No. That's insane. We made it this far together. We all leave." Kai placed a hand on his shoulder. You still don't understand, Elian. My role is done. I trained who needed training. I opened the door. Now you're the one who has to walk through it. Elian gripped his arm hard. You pulled me back from death, made me believe again, and now you're just giving up? Kai smiled, sad, resigned. I'm not giving up. I'm staying to balance the scales. As they argued, something unexpected ripped through the night. An explosion thundered from the north wing. Roof tiles shattered, screams, alarms. That wasn't part of the plan, Reese muttered, firing up her comms. No reply. Minutes later, the monitors revealed the source. Delgado had escaped, and he wasn't alone. He had outside help, armed men in unmarked tactical gear, a private militia. The warden had been executed. Control of the prison had fallen into hands even darker, more brutal. Delgado wasn't after order. He wanted redemption, live. He planned to capture Kai and Elian, paint them as traitors and terrorists. The rebellion hadn't destroyed the system. It had only exposed the rot beneath it. Now, there was no safe escape. Delgado's voice boomed through the prison speakers, hijacking the PA. Congratulations, traitors. You showed the world what worms you are. Now I'll show them how worms get crushed. Bring me Kai. Bring me the silence. Maybe then I'll let the others crawl away. Elian slammed his fist into the wall. Rage boiled back up, but beneath it, something else had taken root. He wants a show? We'll give him one, he said, eyes locked on the group. Kai stayed quiet, then finally nodded. Then this will be your first battle, without me at your side. You're running? Elian challenged. No, Kai replied. I'll watch, like you did, that first night. The plan shifted. While Marquez and Reese set off fake fires and explosions to scatter Delgado's forces, Elian would step into the arena, alone. The very place it had all begun. The challenge spread fast, one against all. If he wins, we live. If he falls, we die with dignity. Delgado, arrogant, accepted, convinced the kid was no threat, but he was wrong. Elian walked into the arena beneath a sky smeared with smoke and red lights. Delgado's private army ringed the circle, rifles slung, blades drawn. Kai watched from the shadows. Silence swallowed the pit. Delgado emerged, suit stained with blood, gripping a broken mic. So the silence turned into a symbol, huh? Let's see how long that lasts without your babysitter. Elian didn't answer. He just breathed, the way Kai taught him, like a warrior. The fight erupted. What happened next, few could recount clearly. Elian fought like a vessel filled with 1,000 muted voices. Every strike carried weight. Every fall became momentum. Every wound turned into power. 2 dropped, then 4, then 10. With each enemy down, the boy reshaped himself. No longer just defending, he was embodying purpose. Delgado panicked, pulled a gun. But before he could fire, a blade flew from the darkness and buried itself in his leg. Kai. Delgado collapsed, screaming. Elian closed in. He could have ended him, but stopped. You don't deserve my hate, he said, turning his back. The crowd didn't cheer, didn't roar, only silence. True power had revealed itself, and in that moment, Elian was no longer just a survivor. He was a symbol of choice. The arena floor still trembled. Bodies lay scattered in the sand and blood, and at the center stood Elian, breathless, unbroken, his eyes fixed on Delgado, bleeding at the edge of the shattered stands. There was no celebration, no triumphant roar, only silence, the same silence that had followed Elian from the beginning. But now, that silence carried a different weight. It was the weight of respect. Kai stepped into the arena slowly, unhurried, his steps light as ever, but his eyes heavy, knowing something had shifted forever. You chose the hardest path, he said, voice steady, no need to raise it. Elian only nodded, blood on his hands, but no pride in his face. This wasn't victory. It was a marker. The few rebels still alive and standing gathered in a semicircle. Marquez with his arm bandaged, Reese's face smeared with soot, Rojas leaning on a bent metal rod. They all knew the war wasn't over, but a wall had fallen, and they all saw who had brought it down. Above them, helicopters circled. Official troops, pressured now by the broadcasts, hesitated. They couldn't storm in guns blazing anymore. The whole world was watching, and that changed the rules. By dawn, a civil containment team arrived. Federal agents and reporters sent to verify what had happened. Kai and Elian stood at the prison's main gate with the survivors. No shackles, no weapons, just faces branded with truth. One agent in a blue suit stopped in front of Kai. "Are you the one responsible for this?" Kai paused, then pointed at Elian. "He is." Elian said nothing. The agent studied him for a long moment, then glanced at the wounded around them. Finally, his voice softened. "We'll hear everything, but for now, you're all under federal custody." No one resisted. They had already exposed the system. Now it was time to speak. In the hours that followed, as the injured were carried out and inmates subdued, something unusual happened. The same soldiers who'd been there to crush the rebellion began looking at Elian with curiosity, even respect. His rap sheet didn't match what they'd just witnessed. In the yard, Reese gave interviews. Marquez was treated by a medic. Rojas sat on the ground, muttering, "The quiet kid gave us a shot nobody ever had. If he hadn't stopped, we'd all be dead." Elian listened from a distance, alone, as always, but not out of fear this time, out of need. He needed space, he needed to breathe. Kai approached. "You didn't fight to kill, you fought to exist." "And now?" Elian asked. "Now, you decide what to do with what you've become." Meanwhile, in the makeshift medical tent, Delgado lay sedated under guard. Even half-conscious, he spat threats, but no one cared anymore. He had been exposed, filmed, disgraced. His political backers were cutting ties fast. Investigations spread. Reporters swarmed the prison. Online, hashtags erupted. Arena of silence. Justice inside. The old master. But the tension hadn't ended. Reese uncovered orders for gag warrants against several involved, especially Elian and Kai. The political pressure was heavy, the consequences unpredictable. "They want to control the story," she warned. "If you vanish, they win." Kai listened, eyes closed, like meditating. Then he said, "Then it's time to disappear the right way." By the next dawn, while the media and investigators focused on the aftermath, a small group slipped out through tunnels Reese had mapped months before. Marquez, Rojas, Reese, but not Elian or Kai. No one knew where they'd gone. Only a note left behind in the infirmary, scrawled on torn paper. "The silence isn't over, it just moved." As federal convoys rolled away from the desert, a security camera caught two silhouettes walking across the dunes, heading into the unknown. Their story wasn't finished. Another chapter had only just begun, unseen but more important. The days in the desert were brutal. Heat doubled down, as if the sand wanted to remind them they were alive and paying for it. Elian and Kai followed old smuggling routes, long abandoned. They carried little: water, canned food, supplies salvaged from one of Reese's hidden stashes. With each step, they left behind not just the prison, but everything the world thought it knew about them. C-21 had fallen, but the system still stood. And somewhere out there, hunters were already tracking them. Weeks later, they found refuge in an isolated community in New Mexico, tucked in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, a place of ex-soldiers, fugitives, and people living off the grid. No questions asked there. Kai knew a man named Thomas, an old soldier who lived among wooden cabins and silence. He gave them shelter. "If you're with Kai, you've got my respect. But be careful. Out here, death comes easy too." Elian slid into a life he'd never known, chopping wood, fishing, fixing fences, training in silence. But peace didn't come. His name was spreading online as a symbol, and with it came eyes. One night, as Elian trained alone in a clearing, Tomas appeared with a radio in hand. "News," he said, tossing it to the ground. "People are asking about you. People in uniform, not the right kind." Elian looked at Kai. He already knew the refuge wouldn't last. "This isn't about running anymore. We need to understand why we're still a threat." Kai nodded, and for the first time in days, he took the lead. "Then we go to them." The two set out for Santa Fe, moving under disguises and back routes. There, in the basement of an investigative journalist, they found Reese, thin, worn down but alive. They're wiping files, spinning stories. "Word is you and Kai escaped with cartel backing, that you were hired to take Delgado out." "Delgado's alive," Elian shot back. "He is, but he vanished. Nobody knows where he went, and that is a problem." Reese pulled up screenshots. A new name was spreading through military forums, Project FEAR. It was a silencing operation, built to neutralize internal threats with media manipulation, legal warfare, and lawful actions outside the law. Elian and Kai's names were on the list. At the top. That's when Kai did something even Reese didn't see coming. "We'll expose this project. We'll drag light into the places they can't stand it." Elian's eyes widened. "You always ran. Now you want to show yourself?" Kai drew a slow breath. "It's not about us anymore. It's about the ones who come after." The three began a journey through old outposts, forgotten files, ex-agents. Each week brought more proof. The system that built C-21 wasn't an exception. It was the rule. Kai reconnected with old comrades. Some refused to help. Others passed crucial intel. And on that road, Elian started to change. He wasn't just the lost kid chasing a master anymore. He was making choices, taking risks, leading. In small towns, he even started training local youth living in violent areas. Simple gestures, but powerful. "They don't need to learn how to fight. They need to learn how to resist," he'd say. Kai watched him with quiet pride, but also with urgency. His cough grew worse. Old wounds were taking their toll. Elian noticed, but said nothing. Then came the strike no one expected. One rainy night in Colorado Springs, masked agents stormed in. No IDs, no insignias. They took Kai, no trace left behind. On the cabin floor, they left only a single handwritten note. "Want him back? Stop digging." Elian didn't sleep that night, or the next. But he didn't react with rage. He reacted with focus. "They still think we're just two fugitives. They forgot. I'm the teacher now." With Reese and new allies, Elian built a network, a base, a mission, free Kai, and in doing so, crushed the system that held him. From that day on, he wasn't training to survive. He was training to win. The names changed. The radio codes shifted, but the mission stayed the same. Find Kai and tear down whoever buried him. Elian and Reese set up an improvised HQ inside an abandoned factory on the Utah-Nevada border. From there, they coordinated small strikes, fed by tips from ex-prisoners, activists, even deserters. "We only get one shot to do this right," Reese said, standing over a map spread across concrete. "After that, the world slams shut. Then we break through the window," Elian replied, eyes fixed on a point. "A decommissioned military zone, officially dead. But data cross-check showed heavy unmarked traffic, strange thermal spikes." "Project FEAR," Reese whispered. "That's the place." As allies trickled in, including Marquez, arm fully healed, and a crew of young fighters Elian had trained, the preparations took shape. Improvised weapons, homemade drones, pulse code comms. No money, no backing. But something the enemy underestimated: conviction. One night, Elian climbed to the roof of the factory. The desert stretched out like an old memory. "Kai." His words came back on the wind. "You don't need to win. You just need to stay standing." But Elian didn't just want to endure. He wanted to free. He wanted to bleed the last drop of darkness out of that system. And he wanted Kai back, not out of dependence, but out of justice. 2 days before the strike, Reese intercepted a signal from inside the complex, a short video. Kai, chained but alive, bruised face, shallow breath. He looked straight into the lens and said only, "Now, you fight for you." Then static. That was all Elian needed. It's time. The plan was simple on paper but razor-sharp in execution. Marquez and a strike team would hit the main gate, a direct feint. Reese and her tech crew would breach the security net from underground. Elian and 2 silent fighters would infiltrate the east flank through an old mining tunnel. Precision, no room for error. But everyone knew something would go wrong. The night of the infiltration, clouds smothered the desert sky. Lightning cracked in the distance. An omen. Elian breathed steady. His body had changed, harder, faster, but his eyes told the real story. Absolute focus. No fear, no hesitation. This fight isn't just mine. It's for everyone still trapped, even outside the bars, he whispered, adjusting his earpiece. The team moved like one organism. The feint worked. Sirens blared. Guards scrambled to the front. In the tunnels, Reese's fingers flew, wiping cameras, unlocking doors, and Elian descended. The shaft was narrow, wet, suffocating. Each step pulled him closer, closer to Kai. Along the way, they found hidden chambers, forgotten detainees, stripped of names, voices stolen. Elian faltered. Reese's voice crackled in the comm. If we free them now, we lose the mission. If we finish this, we save them all later. He understood. He promised, we'll come back. At the final stretch, resistance hit. Armed guards, trained to kill. But Elian was no longer the boy in chains. He fought with precision, intelligence, restraint. One by one, they dropped. Not dead, disabled. Because Kai had taught him, violence is a language, but it's always a choice. At the max containment cell, Elian froze. Silence on the other side, not fear's silence, waiting silence. He opened the door. Kai stood there, unchained, on his feet. Took you long enough, the master said with a faint smile. Had to learn to walk on my own first, Elian answered. They locked eyes, no words, no embrace, just recognition. 2 men who had survived, changed, evolved, and now carried a greater mission. Escape wouldn't be easy, but the climax was already breaking. The facility's main alarm blared. Red lights spun across concrete halls like furious eyes. Elian and Kai had been detected. Project FEAR was fully unleashed against them. But what the soldiers, guards, and masked agents didn't expect, 2 men who were no longer prisoners and who no longer ran from anyone. The plan's exit route was a cargo ramp at the back. Reese remotely unlocked the doors, only for an elite squad to seal it within seconds. Elian and Kai were trapped in a narrow corridor, cold lights above, soldiers advancing like a wall, shields, shock weapons, lethal sights. But Kai didn't back down, and neither did Elian. It's time to show who you've become, the master said, taking his stance. The first wave hit hard. 3 soldiers rushed with batons. Elian dropped them in sequence, knee, elbow, twist. Not out of rage, out of precision. Kai handled 2 at once, moving like he could read every strike before it came. He wasted no strength, dropping them with the bare minimum, but the tide was endless. "They'll try to split us up," Kai shouted. And he was right. A smoke grenade cut the air, shouts, chaos, shoves. Elian was dragged into a side compartment by 2 soldiers. Fighting blind, he felt a blade scrape past his ear. He answered with a spinning kick, dropping one. The second lunged with a shock weapon, but before he could fire, Elian stripped it from him with a sharp arm strike and slammed him onto the metal floor. When the smoke cleared, the corridor was littered with bodies, not dead, but out cold. Kai bled from his shoulder. Elian knelt beside him. "Can you keep going?" Kai met his eyes. I came this far to see who you'd become. Now I've seen it. I can leave in peace." Elian gripped him tight. "Don't say that. Then prove to me you can finish what we started." Outside, Reese and Marquez were fighting their own war. Federal reinforcements were minutes away, but enemy jammers blocked any transmission. "We need to open the roof," Reese said. "If we can send this feed out, everything changes, forever." She hooked the cables into the last portable satellite. All she needed was time, and Elian knew it. With Kai leaning on him, he climbed the last flights to the roof. Waiting there was the architect of it all, Delgado, alive again, but different, colder, armored up, military rifle in hand, an entire squad at his back. "Surprised? I told you I'd return. I am the system," he sneered. "No, you're the disease," Elian replied. Delgado raised his weapon, but he didn't fire, because Kai, with one subtle motion, tossed Elian the final piece of the plan, a small drive. "Get this to Reese," he whispered. Elian understood. It was the final proof, the files, the names, the financiers, the crimes. Delgado charged, screaming, "You'll never leave here alive!" And then Kai did the unthinkable. He ran at the squad alone. One last fight, a distraction, a sacrifice. "No!" Elian shouted, but it was too late. Kai fought like never before, with the fury of a man buying time and the peace of one who'd already made amends with death. One by one, soldiers fell, but then a bullet found its mark, straight to his chest. Kai dropped, and Elian transformed, not into fury, but into strength. He surged across the rooftop, dodging gunfire. Every step was a choice, every fall a springboard. He reached the transmission point, shoved the drive into Reese's hands. "Go!" She hit the upload, and the world saw. The footage rolled out, images, voices, torture chambers, documents. Delgado's face, politicians' faces, the project's name, undeniable truth. Delgado tried to run, but Marquez intercepted him. "You had your chance. Now it's ours." And for the first time, Delgado was afraid. By the time federal troops secured the site, Kai had been rushed to a field medic station. Condition, critical, but alive. And Elian, he stood apart, bloodied, broken, but whole. "You didn't save me, Kai," he murmured. "You showed me how to save myself." The climax had passed, but the legacy was only beginning. Within 48 hours, the Project FER leaks spread like wildfire. News outlets across the US, and the world aired the footage, the files, the survivor testimonies. A nation woke up to a reality buried for decades. Secret prisons, hidden executions, illegal training, manufactured narratives. Everything was exposed. And Elian, now known only as the Silence, became a symbol of resistance for the forgotten, the marginalized, the voiceless. Kai survived. 2 months later, he walked slowly with the help of a wooden cane. The bullets hadn't killed him, but they'd left a heavy toll. Still, he smiled. He lived quietly in a Colorado community, far from the official maps. He received letters, visitors. Some wanted interviews. Others just wanted to listen. But most days, he simply watched the horizon, waiting. Elian, meanwhile, vanished. No press, no cameras, no trails. Reese helped him disappear. He refused interviews. He turned down the role of martyr. He knew any wrong word could be twisted. And that real work wasn't about speeches. It was about acting where no one looked. And so he did. In small towns, forgotten schools, vulnerable communities, stories began to spread of a quiet man, young, teaching discipline, balance, the art of resistance. He never took money. He always vanished after a few weeks. Some called him teacher, others master. But all understood it wasn't about the fight, it was about freedom. Reese founded an NGO exposing prison abuses. Marquez became a consultant for federal investigations. Rojas opened a small dojo in Tucson. The network Elian built grew, invisible, silent, powerful. And Delgado, He stood trial, convicted of crimes against humanity, conspiracy, murder. But his sentence hardly mattered. His name became a byword for collapse, for an empire built on fear and destroyed by courage. On the last night of winter, Kai lit a small fire outside his cabin. Alone, the sky above, clear and sharp with stars. He dropped a scrap of paper into the flames, one word written on it: silence. He closed his eyes and smiled. In the dead of night, in a forgotten alley of Detroit, a boy was being beaten by 3 others. He cried for help. No one came, until a figure stepped from the shadows. He didn't speak, he didn't rush, he simply walked forward, and with a few movements, silence fell. When it was over, the boy, still on the ground, looked up and saw the man extend a hand. "Who are you?" he asked. The man didn't answer. He only smiled and disappeared into the dark. Not every hero shouts. Not every master seeks applause. Sometimes the greatest revolution is born in silence, in the moment someone chooses not to repeat the cycle of violence, but to break it. If this story reached you, share it, speak it, question it, because there are many aliens out there, unseen, ignored, and maybe in recognizing one, you become part of the change. The silence continues, where you least expect it, where it's needed most.